Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Jank. As Brittany just gave the best intro, am the Director of Partnerships here at AM Money. So I'm excited to chat more about the Career Bootcamp and give you the details on that, as Brittany said, kind of overview the program, give you a sense of what students can expect both during and then as well as after. But first, I really wanted to take a chance to tell you a little bit more about AM, give you some context as to who we are, where we came from, why we're doing this in the first place, as I think that'll be a little bit of a helpful step. So I'll start there, and then we'll answer some questions if people have any, and then we'll dig into the bootcamp shortly after. So AM Money is a student loan company based here in Chicago. But if you haven't already left with that brief intro, I will say that our goal really is to disrupt traditional student lending. And a lot of that stems from the way that our founder and CEO, Dan Rogers, grew up and experienced the lending platform himself. So I figured the best way to frame sort of our story and who we are and why we're doing what we're doing, all of that, is really through the lens of Daniel Rogers. So as some of you may know, Dan, he's been in Chicago for a long time. He grew up on the South Side, went to Kenwood Academy, when he was exploring college options, realized that due to financial constraints, it was never really going to be an option for him to go straight into 4-year. And so he enlisted in the Army. He showed up into boot camp in August of 2001. Which obviously meant that a month later, things were going to get pretty hectic for him. Things didn't necessarily go as he had initially planned. And so he was shipped off, did 4 years of work over in Iraq and Afghanistan. And while he was there, was also taking classes online. He'd never given up that dream of going to college, and was able to come back, took classes at American University towards his graduation. And as he was getting closer, ended up running up short on his funding, and asked everyone in his family. No one could support him. Eventually got to the last person that he could ask, which was a grandma of his, to co-sign on a loan. Dan had 3 jobs at the time, had a really high GPA, was clearly going to be successful, had served 4 years in the Army, but no company was looking at him from that perspective. All they were looking at was, here's a poor kid from the South Side of Chicago who doesn't have a family member who can co-sign a loan. And thanks to Dan's grandma and her trust in Dan and what he was capable of, he was able to graduate, went on to do some really incredible things, including going to University of Chicago's Booth School of Management, majored in finance. He had some incredible jobs with the State Department, Uber, and Deutsche Bank. But about 4 years ago, he ended up back here in Chicago and really had this mission in him, stemming from the experience that he had had when he was the student that was doing so well, but was really rejected by the student financing system. And so he came up with this idea for a company called AM Money, that would look at students not based on their credit score or their demographics, or if they could get a quality cosigner, how rich their parents were. He wanted to look at students based on their GPA, the school that they go to, and the percent of credits completed towards graduation. And AM was founded. We were incubated out of the Academy Group, which is where I'm talking to you all from today, in sunny yet freezing cold Chicago. And we just launched really this past summer. So this is our first semester really handing out loans and working with students. And it's been a really exciting opportunity. And so to give you just a really quick overview here on really what makes us different, we don't, as I said, look at your credit score. We base everything on your GPA and the school that you go to. So really taking the bet on the student themselves. We don't require a cosigner. We cover overdue balances and summer school as well, which we know is an issue for a lot of students who are looking to either get back into school or want to get school over with as quickly as possible and are looking to get financing for summer school. And then we also work with students on the back end to make sure that the loan is never a burden. And we do that through income-based repayment and some different flexible plans. And so really, as we were thinking about all of this from a company perspective, this past fall, and again, here are just some numbers as to what we've seen in our first 4 months of being around here. But as we've been talking to students and working with them and talking to colleges and nonprofits and other folks like that, is Financing is a big part of the problem, but it's not the only problem. And one of the issues that we see popping up over and over again is employment. And I think for us as a company, we feel like we want to first and foremost solve problems for our students. And a big part of that is talking to students and figuring out what those problems are. And so when we heard employment, we thought, well, we know people in Chicago, Dan, myself, a few of our other members here on our team have good networks here. We're able to reach out to folks and said, hey, if we pulled something together where we allowed students from Chicago who are going to be home on winter break to have the chance to come in and meet with you and learn more about your entry-level roles, and also just learn about how you are looking to expand your diversity and your talent and the young professionals that you have working for you, is that something you'd be interested in? And every company that we talked to said yes. And so that really started this idea that maybe we could put something together over winter break to get students in the door. And so that's what I want to talk about next. But before I do, I guess I'll pause really quickly. If there are any questions or anything that people want to know, again, you can also reach out to me after the conversation as well. But wanted to stop there first. Okay. Great. Awesome. If there are any questions that pop up, please feel free to let me know afterwards. So now on to the much more exciting parts of what we're doing, which is the boot camp itself. So as I mentioned, this idea really came up as we were looking to plug holes for students. And really one of those that we wanted to work on most was, how do we introduce students to these companies who are looking to hire individuals like themselves? And how do we start to sort of mold and manufacture a network here that students can benefit from, both right now when they're looking for internships, as well as in the future when they're looking for full-time employment? And then additionally, just sort of how do we help them polish up different parts of their professional development, whether it's their resumes, their brand, their interviewing skills, their LinkedIn profiles, as you'll see, really sort of everything across the board. So what I want to do next is sort of just give you a brief overview of what this looks like today, and then how we're kind of anticipating all of these sessions going. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how we see this happening in the future and how students will be able to stay involved. And so first and foremost, Monday, we're really excited to partner with Teach for America. What students can expect is to hear from folks who've been in Teach for America and have gone on to do different things, so they can talk a little bit more to how TFA can act as a springboard for them to move into, we have folks who are in finance and healthcare, some who've remained in education, but really, as I'm sure many of you know, it's a really cool program to get your feet under you and then really have an opportunity to go into a bunch of different areas past that. They're also going to be talking about the recruitment opportunities, the ways that you can apply to be in TFA. So they'll be overviewing some of that as well. And then they're going to be offering a free lunch, which is always fantastic. From there, we're going to walk over to Cleveland Avenue, which is an investment firm here in Chicago founded by Don Thompson, who's the former CEO of McDonald's. And what they're going to do is something really exciting. They basically have this personal branding workshop where students are going to be able to work on their own personal brand, like their 30-second elevator pitch, how they present themselves. It's almost sort of like everything that leads up to the interviewing phase, and really how students will present themselves even during those phases as well. So that's going to be a really exciting opportunity. There's also just some general networking built in there, and a good chance to learn about what roles in like the investment and finance sector look like in those first few years. So that'll be Monday. And something I'll touch on right after this is students will also have the opportunity to stick around on Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday for financial or career coaching. Just any questions that they may have if they want to be in a one-on-one setting instead of a big group, that's a good opportunity for them as well. So jumping really quickly to Tuesday, students will be meeting at LinkedIn, which is again right near the Loop. They'll be doing something called a LinkedIn profile power up, which is basically working with LinkedIn to make sure that they're using their profiles to the best of their abilities. So learning about entry-level positions that exist all over their, whatever the city is that they're in, different internships, how to make sure that they're putting their best face forward when it comes to making their profile as appropriate and as effective as possible. They'll also be doing an overview of their entry-level positions. I believe a lot of those are in sales. And then they'll also be providing a lunch as well as a tour, which if any of you have been to the LinkedIn office, it is truly a remarkable place. There's a lot going on in there. It's a really cool spot for, I think, just about anyone to take a tour through. So looking forward to that. The TBD here is either going to be Groupon or Accenture. We're still waiting to finalize the details there, but I'll be sure to send out an email to those who are interested once we confirm that. It should be by the end of this week. So more to come there. On Wednesday, we're really excited. We wanted to kind of break this out into different groups. So, the folks who are interested in more of the like non-tech roles, I guess I could say, have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday to be able to go in and meet with different folks. But for the folks who are really interested in that engineering, data science, tech space, we wanted to put together something special. And so we partnered with Capital One, as well as the Polsky Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation down in Hyde Park, to put on a data hackathon that day. We're really excited. So what students can expect is to come in, they'll get a tour of the space, they'll learn about what the Polsky Center does, how they can potentially interact with Polsky after college, if they have ideas that they want to incubate, or if they're feeling entrepreneurial or startup-y, Polsky is a good place to start. And then Capital One is going to have about 6 product managers who are going to be coaches and mentors for students throughout the day. So when it comes to the challenge itself, students will be working with College Board data, as well as a few different prompts to solve some questions, to provide a presentation, and then they'll also be able to do some general hacking and putting together something later in the day. If you can't tell, I am not the best resource for what actually happens at hackathons. It's been great to be able to work with Capital One as well as some of our data and tech folks here at AM to pull this together. So if folks do have more questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect you to the folks who can talk about it much more eloquently than I just did. But again, on that day, we'll have lunch and dinner available for students who are interested. And again, that will be down at the Polsky Center at Hyde Park. Thursday, we're back up into the loop. We'll be starting the day at Citibank. They have a young professionals panel, so individuals, specifically those of color, who are working at Citibank now, to talk about their experiences, what they like about it, what they're interested in pursuing past this role, things like that. They also will have their head of diversity, equity, and inclusion in for the Midwest, who's going to talk a lot about the different initiatives they've been launching on that front to make Citibank just improving their culture, talking about how it's a good place to work, things like that, to give students a better insight into how companies are thinking about these things these days. Again, they'll also be reviewing some of their entry-level positions, talking to folks who are interested in applying, things like that. And then again, they're providing a lunch. And then from there, we're wrapping up the day by walking over to CDW. They have a bunch of different things that they're excited to do with students. I've captured some of it here. They're of course going to be giving an overview of not only their entry-level positions, but a bunch of their internship roles as well for students who are interested in, and those span a very wide range. I think it's everything from marketing to engineering to doing stuff in operations. They're quite vast in terms of what they offer. They'll also have some breakout tables that will allow students to break into small groups and do activities. I think that spans everything from just having one-on-one conversations in a smaller group to doing some mock interviewing, to doing some resume building, to doing some branding, conversationing, things like that. So from there, again, students will be able to hang around afterwards if they'd like to do some career coaching or some financial coaching with Country Financial. And then Friday, all day, will be mock interviews with Deloitte. So how that will work is any student who signs up will basically send out Calendly. If those of you who have used it, it basically allows students to pick out a segment of time that works for them. And then we'll auto upload so students can't also accept that time if it's not available anymore. And we'll pair that with folks at Deloitte. These will be folks from the accounting side, from the consulting side, and they're happy to talk about just sort of everything. From what I understand, it can be anything as formal as like a true to form mock interview, or it can just be sort of a basic conversation to learn more about what's going on at Deloitte. Just a chance to build, a part of your network out, or potentially find a mentor, things like that. And then that'll be the week. So Friday is the only day that we won't be providing a lunch, just because AM, College Greenlight, really won't be heavily involved in that day. Deloitte will be the ones who are more or less managing the individuals who are interested coming in and out. So a few notes on these days, important notes. One, you can choose any day. Students can choose any day that they want to go to. They don't need to go to multiple days. What we do encourage is them to show up to both sites on the day. And that's only really because it would be difficult for us to pinpoint exactly when we'll be at Cleveland Avenue, or where we end up going second on Tuesday, or CDW on Thursday. And so we want students to be there for the full day to be able to get the full experience. In terms of dress code, I would say business casual is likely fine. Obviously, these companies are quite different. The way that they dress at Cleveland Avenue is not going to be the way that they're dressed at LinkedIn, and same for Teach for America. And so what I would say is business casual, limiting the jeans would be probably a good start. But past that, again, this is the first time we've done this, so we don't have any hard and fast rules on that point, but we think that seems fairly appropriate. Moving past that really quickly, just to highlight this piece. So we're really excited to be partnering with Country Financial. One of the things that we know is that not all students are going to be raising their hand in a group of 30 to have the chance to ask a bunch of questions or get some insight that they're interested in. So what we wanted to do is sort of break it down so that students are allowed to come to more of a one-on-one setting and ask questions about any career advice they might need, or questions they might have. And then on the other side, obviously part of what we want to do is make sure that students are feeling financially stable and safe. And so allowing them to be able to meet with folks like Country Financial to ask any basic questions, we think will be really helpful. And I'm reading this question. Students unable to participate in boot camp, but interested in learning more about companies. Is there a way for them to connect/build their network? Yeah, it's a great question. So actually, this kind of leads into what I'm going for here. So what I would recommend is that students who are interested in expanding these networks but aren't able to attend on the day of should apply for any of the days. We'll reach out, and then they're happy, I'm happy for them to just reach out and let me know, hey, I'm actually not going to be in Chicago, or I can't attend on these days, but I would like to stay in the loop. One of the big things that we're looking to do here actually is sort of build out almost a three-tier approach here. The first being the in-person events, things like the Career Bootcamp, hackathons, marketing competitions. We're really excited to be partnering with College Greenlight on pushing this type of event out, because we know that it's a great opportunity for folks to get to have in-person, face-to-face meetings, to get companies to see that these students are awesome and are doing really cool things. And so that's a big part of what we want to do there. But we also really want to just build out an employment pipeline that allows students to sort of experience these relationships in an ongoing manner. And what we're looking at there is, we know that a lot of companies in Chicago are hiring, in some cases, hundreds of students every year out of college. And what we feel like is a lot of these students aren't being hired from Chicago. It's something that we really want to work on in terms of making sure that our students, specifically those on the South and West sides, are able to find employment and find out about these opportunities, and that companies are interested in hiring them. And so by working with companies to sort of unlock these internships and employment opportunities and send them out to students who might be interested in them, it's something that we're really excited about continuing to build out, and then possibly in the future, working to figure out ways to sustain that through creating more of a network that will be available for students who have since been employed by some of these companies, and then the students who are able to attend things like the boot camp, or at least for them to be able to sort of unlock that network. And then I'm seeing one other question. Do you see your company partnering with local high schools and doing events like this, maybe on a smaller scale in the future? Yeah, absolutely. I think, we're in a really cool space right now where we're trying a lot of different things. And if there's opportunities for us to improve on what we're doing right now, we're very much all ears to pull this together. And so I think if there was an opportunity to pilot something with a high school, or a few high schools, to be able to pull something together and work with maybe two to four of these companies to do something over a spring break period. I absolutely think that's something that we would be really interested in. So happy to keep that conversation going. Awesome. Great. Okay. I know I covered so many different things here. As I said, this is our first time doing this, so I'm sure I left a bunch of open doors or open questions. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions or to review anything. I guess some highlights that I know we've had questions on in the past. I think in terms of the number of students that we can expect per day, it ranges a little bit, but I would say we're really looking for between 20 to 40 students each day. And we feel like that'll provide for both a good experience for the companies as well as for the students themselves, not being lost in a massive crowd. And students will be responsible for getting themselves into the city and home from the city. They will take care of everything day of in terms of transport, things like that. And yeah, no, those are two of the big ones. So I'll open it up if there's any questions or anything that people might want to know.
Hey there, Mike. So as everyone is entering their questions, I have a couple questions. Will students have to pay to get themselves into the city?
Yeah, so unfortunately we can't cover transportation for students into the city. What we've tried to do is make sure that all of the locations that are first in the day and last in the day are somewhat close to public transit, so that students are able to hop on the L or hop on the Metro or whatever might work best for them. So we're trying to center these things, but yeah, unfortunately, this go around, students will be responsible for getting themselves into the city.
Another question is, when thinking about the students who are involved, are you looking at community college students versus students who are attending four-year? And what graduation year? Are you looking for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're open to any students at this point. So if you're a community college student, if you're a two-year student, if you're looking to transfer from city colleges into a four-year, whatever it might be, we're more than happy to invite you to the boot camp to learn more about what's going on with these different companies. It's very much an open invitation at this point. And then in terms of the years that we're looking at, we think that most of the boot camp will likely be beneficial for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Probably more so for juniors and seniors, just because the internships and full-time employment opportunities obviously are closer to their wheelhouse potentially. But that said, for a lot of sophomores, we know this is a good chance to make a connection now and then be sort of at the front of the line when internships come out for their junior year. So we encourage them to join us as well. The only thing I would say for freshmen is the hackathon is certainly an opportunity for them. It's certainly going to be very open. So there's an opportunity for them to come in and be able to work on those skills. The rest of the days might just be a little bit too much for them in terms of where most freshmen tend to be when they're in that year.
All right, a couple more questions. Can counselors register a group of students if they're hosting any programming that particular week?
Yeah, absolutely. I think potentially could depend on the size of the students in terms of the number of students that are in the group. But yeah, I would say absolutely. As long as there's space right now, I would say register as many students as you'd like. We'll continue to follow up with students to make sure that they're engaged and continue to plan on coming. But I would say at this point, yeah, feel free.
And again,
I'm sorry. I would say again, I think one of the things that's sort of the fallback here, if a day is to fill up and we're not able to bring someone along, to Aileen's question earlier, we are interested in keeping students in the loop on these things. And a few of these companies I know will be releasing internships through us that we can pass along to students. And so that's something that, again, is very valuable. So if you have students who aren't sure if they're going to be able to make it, I highly recommend they sign up just to be able to stay in the loop on these things, because we think it could be important for them to learn more about this. And then again, we'll be having events like this in the future as well, so students are able to stay in the loop on those things.
If we have any counselors, organization counselors, high school counselors, mentors who are interested in seeing what the day looks like, can they shadow any of these workshops?
Yeah, that is definitely going to be happening on a few different cases. So you're more than welcome to come and shadow. I think we have someone from the Big Shoulders Fund who's going to be coming and shadowing one of the days, as well as someone from the Academy Group, and Gary Comer, part of the Noble Network. So we're more than happy to accommodate folks to come and take a peek. I guess I would say, please choose one day, so that we don't have someone showing up multiple days, just because that could end up taking spots away from a student. But yeah, absolutely. If there's a day that looks like it could be really interesting, please feel free.
And can you talk a little bit more about the registration process? What does it look like? Where do you go? After you register, what can our signees expect to receive?
Yeah, I feel like Brittany's my guardian angel here, just dropping in with pieces that I should have very much highlighted during the presentation. So thank you, Brittany. Yeah, the registration. So you can go to chicagostudentloans.com/winter-series. I believe it's in the link at the top of the chat. From there, all that you need to input is your name, the school that you're at, your email, phone number. The cell phone number is just so that we can text you more or less push notifications to make sure that you know where to go, make sure that you're still coming, things like that. And I believe that's it. Oh, and then of course you have to tell us which days that you're interested in attending. But that's really it. And then in terms of what will happen post then, we'll email students to make sure that they indeed meant to register for the days that they signed up for. We'll send out an email by the end of this week, just alerting students to any updates, specifically with regards to that Tuesday, and shining a little bit more light on the companies themselves. And then from there, we'll likely just ping them with a few texts to let them know that, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you, things like that. And then past the boot camp itself, students will just be kept up to date on different opportunities like this in the professional pipeline. Oh, yes, for counselors who want to shadow for a day, please fill out the registration form. And then I'm wondering if there's a way to, I'll follow up with everybody, so that we make sure that there's an opportunity for us to identify you as a counselor. Just might help with numbers on our end. But yeah, so afterwards, students will just be part of sort of a mailing list that specifically is with regards to employment opportunities, internships, things like that. So they won't be getting, information about our student loans, for example, unless they specifically tell us that they're interested in receiving that information.
And Mike, can you clarify, do students need to attend all of the workshops?
No. So they'll be able to choose day by day which ones they're most interested in. You can't sign up for, solely Citibank and not CDW. You do register for the entirety of the day. And we do encourage students to come to both events, just helps with numbers on our end. But obviously we can't, make students, stay for another presentation if they're not interested. So highly encouraged, but obviously not mandated.
Okay, and so counselors, students, if any of you all are on the line still, if you have any questions, please, we're gonna offer a little bit more time for you all to get those questions out there to Mike. Mike, one more question. Can you talk a little bit more about the the individuals at the companies and why they decided to host these types of events for Career Bootcamp?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we sort of brought the idea of individual companies hosting students for 2 to 3 hours, and they'd be students who these companies would want to get in front of. They're from the area, they're interested in their company, they're interested in what employment opportunities look like. And I think what we saw is that companies were really interested in promoting, obviously the work that they're doing in a day-to-day and how much their employees like to work there to individuals who might be interested in working there. But more so, we saw that companies were really interested in increasing their own diversity and bringing in folks from the Chicagoland area who could be both incredible ambassadors for the city within their company, but then just also sort of improving the general culture that they see at their company. And so that was sort of a big part of it, that we were excited to partner with these companies who wanted to do something, who were acknowledging that they wanted to increase diversity, they wanted to present exciting opportunities to students who are from the area. And in terms of like the pieces that they've come up with, I think it was a mixture. In some cases, we had folks who had pre-planned opportunities. Cleveland Avenue with the personal branding bootcamp, LinkedIn with their LinkedIn profile power up. Those are things that they had on offer, and also things that they thought could be really helpful to students who are in this time period, juniors, seniors, sophomores. And so I think it was sort of a combination of a couple different things. And then of course, Dan and I had the opportunity to meet with all of them to clarify and vet these and make sure that we thought they would be things that would be valuable for our students as well. So it's a little bit of teamwork there. And I think very much so this year, through surveys, through experiencing what students are seeing when they're there themselves, it'll be a good opportunity for us to continue to cultivate the experience, to make sure that moving forward, if there is something this year that doesn't work out as well as we thought it might, that we can adjust it and moving forward, make sure that this is a boot camp that's really important and special to students who are in this age range.
Okay, I think that that was really helpful. Okay, so if our counselor students don't have any more questions, I'm going to put you on the spot, Mike. Give me your elevator pitch, your 2-minute pitch of why you should be signing up, and how you should sign up and what those next steps look like.
Yeah. So you should sign up for the Career Bootcamp if you're interested in learning more about internships or full-time employment here in the Chicagoland area. Specifically, if you're interested in working with some incredible companies here that offer a lot to their employees, specifically their entry-level positions, that allow them to create great networks, that allow them to build a wealth of experience. And if that's not enough, you should also register for the Career Bootcamp if you're interested in leveling up your professional development, whether that's through your personal brand, your LinkedIn profile, your mock interviewing skills, your resume, things like that. And if that's not enough, then I'm sure by this point in winter break, you want to get out of the house anyway. I know I would. And so come spend a couple days in Chicago with us, get some free lunch, meet some cool people, check out the city, and go back to school better prepared than ever, with maybe some interesting contacts in your back pocket and some more information about what opportunities might be available down the road. And if all of those things convinced you, or if at least one of them did, then head to chicagostudentloans.com/winter-series, or go to chicagostudentloans.com and click on the Job Help tab at the top. And you can easily register for free. And even if you're not able to attend, we'll keep you in the loop on internship opportunities, employment opportunities, things like that. So really, what do you have to lose? I would register as soon as possible if I was eligible to actually attend. But luckily, I'll be there anyway, so I don't have to register. So yeah, there's my elevator pitch.
think that's wonderful. Okay. All right. I think we can go ahead and lead for outro. So everyone, thank you so much, Mike. Thank you, all of those who are attending. We are recording, and we will be sending the recording and some helpful materials for you all to get the word out there and to help support more students to sign up for our workshops. So if you have a handful of students and you know that they're going to be interested and you want them to participate, I will also be providing you all with Mike's information. He will be following up with you all after our live presentation. And thank you so much. Just on behalf of the College Greenlight team, we're really invested in the success of our students and really helping to move the needle, move that needle. And so, when opportunities like this come to our door, we know that we want to support them because they are helping to inform and educate our community about the opportunities that exist just for them. And we want more of these opportunities to be available for the future generation. So if you know anyone who's interested, if you want to participate, go ahead and follow up. Visit chicagostudentloans.com/winter-series. Sign up everyone. Sign up your cousin, your counselor, your mom, your friend, maybe not mom, but we are really excited to be bringing this to you all, and we're really excited that A.M. Munner, you guys are doing such a wonderful job in providing this service. Counselors, students, all right. We are signing off, and may the force be with you all in this very brutal winter. Okay, take care.
Thanks, everyone.